Alright, it's time for a few storylines to hit major turning points, so let's talk about it. Green Lantern number 11 is written by Jeremy Adams, with art by Zermanico and Amanke Nalpan, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., and letters by Dave Sharp. The title of this issue is Vegas Baby Vegas. Lord Premier Tharos and his delegation have arrived on the planet Zamaron, homeworld of the Star Sapphires, and are making one final attempt at convincing the Zamarons to join the United Planets. When they refuse, Tharos gives the order, and the Sapphire Central Battery explodes. Tharos is fully mask off at this point, openly giving orders to a squad of lanterns to destroy every Sapphire ring and reduce the Star Sapphires to nothing but a memory. Tharos has surrounded himself with so many yes-men and followers loyal to the cause that he really doesn't have to worry about hiding his true intentions anymore, unless he finds himself in a situation where it would make things easier. Back on Oa, everyone's regrouped at the Resistance base, and Hal wants to go straight to the United Planets Council and tell them everything that Tharos has been doing. Hal and Razor are both confident that the tenuous nature of the United Planets Alliance would force them to take action if they knew that one of their own was abusing their power. I'm honestly kind of surprised at Hal's faith in authority, especially since he was ready to quit the Green Lantern Corps because he hated the way the United Planets was changing things. This belief that the United Planets Council will fix everything feels out of character for Hal Jordan, the biggest rebel in the galaxy. Regardless, going to the council won't accomplish anything unless they have a substantial amount of proof, and that's where the UP Lantern they liberated from the science cells comes in. He was loyal to Tharos and believed it was all for the good of the universe, but then Tharos threw him in jail over something minor, so all of that loyalty went right in the garbage. He was in the room when Tharos gave the order to blow up central batteries. He can give names and dates, whatever they need. And right here is where a detail jumped out at me that I actually didn't notice before. This bird guide's word balloons are green. Typically, that's reserved for people who are more under the influence of their particular spectrum energy. We see it all the time with the Star Sapphires because love is one of the most extreme powers in the emotional spectrum, and it has a history of overwhelming the minds of the people who try to control it. But that doesn't usually happen with willpower, and it's only happening with the UP lanterns, specifically the ones that can shift between colors of the spectrum. Now that I see it, I can't help but feel like it's a very bad sign, though I don't know what it could mean just yet. So with their witness ready to testify, it's time to go see the United Planets Council. Salak and 2-6 are staying behind to watch over Kyle, who seems to be getting worse. Now he's rambling about the emotional spectrum lacking focus and splintering, and nobody knows what to do to help him. It's nice to see Hal talk to Kyle in these moments, like he's looking out for his younger brother. So yeah, they take the direct approach. Hal, Simon, Joe, and their new UP Lantern buddy barge right into a United Planets Council meeting and tell them everything. Destroying central batteries to monopolize the emotional spectrum, wiping out any world that refuses to join the United Planets, all of it. And Tharos doesn't deny a thing. Because why would he have to? The Resistance just walked right into his trap. Among Tharos' loyal UP Lanterns are the Unseeing, a group of magical precogs who, among other things, knew that this was going to happen. All Tharos had to do was show up and let the Resistance expose itself. And as for the rest of the council, well, they're all Durlans. Tharos has his own shape-shifting brethren taking the place of the United Planets Council. And it's possible that this Durlan switcheroo is just for the sake of capturing the Resistance, but it would make Tharos' life a lot easier if these Durlans had been standing in for the real council members on a full-time basis. It would also explain how Tharos can get away with things like what he did on Zamaron. And as ring hunters flood the meeting room, we pop back over to Earth to see what Carol is up to. She has no idea where Hal went, just that he left. Again. And after everything that's happened with Sinestro commandeering the drones, Ferris Aircraft just lost all of its military contracts. Her fiancé Nathan is trying his best to reassure her that they can work together to rebuild the company, but Carol cuts him off and insists that they get married today. What this is Carol attempting to take control of her life, to make something good happen. But it's all forced smiles that fade when nobody's looking. She doesn't actually want to get married, she just wants to be happy. Hal is gone, the company might be gone, so she leans into what she still has, her relationship with Nate. They decide to just be impulsive. Screw the wedding, forget about spending all that money and entertaining all those guests. They just hop in the car as is and drive to Vegas. And the whole way, Carol barely says a word. All she can think about is the last time she took this same trip. We get a flashback to when Hal and Carol were kids, and it's amazing how little has changed. Carol is waiting around for Hal to show up, but he doesn't because he got in trouble at school for acting out. The principal tells Hal that he could have a really nice life if he just follows some rules and cooperates with people. And that if he remains this stubborn, if he keeps insisting on doing everything his own way, he's eventually going to end up broke and alone. I get the impression that the story expects us to be on Hal's side in this situation, because he's all about freedom and rebellion, and this stuffy old adult is telling him to be safe and boring. And look, maybe it's because I'm closer in age to this principal than I am to Hal in this scene, but the principal is objectively correct. Hell, just look at issue 1 of this series, which showed us Hal squatting in the desert in his brother's old trailer because he had nowhere else to go. Even Carol didn't want to look at him, let alone employ him or date him. No job, no home, and a grand total of $50 to his name. The principal was right. But hey, at least Hal did it his own way. Anyway, Kid Hal's reaction to an adult giving him rational advice is to immediately commit a series of crimes. He steals the principal's car, picks up Carol, and drives over state lines to Las Vegas, where they get caught in a casino playing slot machines. And then when he gets busted and shipped off to a boarding school, he acts like it's a big hassle and everyone else is wrong. I hate this kid. Adult Hal is so much better. Carol and Nathan finally make it to the Chapel of Solitude, where every aspect of the wedding experience is like a Superman-themed tourist trap from hell. The amount of detail that was put into every aspect of this business is incredibly fun, from the cheap wedding rings based on different colors of kryptonite, to the classic catchphrases they worked into the vows. It's incredible, and the absurdity of it all, combined with his love for Carol, is probably why Nate doesn't notice that Carol seems like she's a million miles away, and hasn't smiled once since she made the suggestion that they drive to Vegas. And Vegas itself might be what's making it impossible for Carol to be happy in this moment. She can't stop thinking about that childhood memory, and how much it embodies what she wishes adulthood was like. Back when they were kids, she was willing to wait for Hal, and it paid off. They said he wouldn't come back for her, but he did, and they had an adventure that had her smiling all the way from Coast City, California to Las Vegas, Nevada. It was wrong, but it was thrilling, and she was happy. And now they're adults, and Hal keeps leaving, and he doesn't always come back. So she's trying to recreate that magic with Nathan, but it's not the same. Not because there's anything wrong with Nathan, and I'm sure she really does care about him, but a lesson that Carol apparently needs to keep learning is that you can't make yourself love someone just because it would make sense or be convenient. There she is, standing in a chapel with her fiancé, about to get married, and what it takes to fill that room with love is the sudden arrival of a star sapphire ring. Possibly the last star sapphire ring. And all Carol can think about is the same things she's been thinking about all day. Hal. Then we've got Guy Gardner's Bogus Lobo Adventure Part 2, Mistakes Were Made. Written by Jeremy Adams with art by Kevin Maguire, colors by Rosemary Cheatham, and letters by Dave Sharp. Guy needs to lay low and wait for all the space dolphins to disperse, so he and Lobo duck into a bar. Lobo keeps insisting that he isn't actually Lobo, but Guy doesn't care. Guy asks the bartender for a phone, and the bartender very rightly points out that Guy's ring should be able to contact anybody he wants, and Guy responds that it used to be able to do that, but now it can't for some reason. It's possible that this is just a contrivance to make the plot move forward, since the rest of the story needs Guy to use a public phone. But then why draw so much attention to it? Did Tharos disable certain functions in the rings? Maybe as a way to make it harder for lanterns to communicate and organize in unsanctioned ways. I don't know, I'm probably overthinking it. Guy sends a message to Oa telling them that he's got Lobo in custody and will bring him in as soon as possible. The problem is, that message didn't go to Oa. Lobo set it up to broadcast to every bounty hunter in 5 sectors. And just like that, 3 of them come crashing through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man, looking to claim the massive bounty on Lobo's head. Bolfunga the Unrelenting is there, because of course he is. But this other one identifies himself as Torchy, cousin of Flicker, another bounty hunter who appeared in a handful of Green Lantern stories, mostly in the early 1990s. I can't believe they gave him a cousin named Torchy. I can't believe I'm sitting here talking about Flicker. Anyway, a big dumb fight is about to break out, but it's interrupted when Guy and Lobo are apparently abducted by Brainiac and are teleported into some other space where there's a crowd of Zarnians. So that's issue 11. Now I want to know what you think. Are you enjoying these more lighthearted backup stories? Do you think it makes sense for Hal to put so much trust in the United Planets Council to do the right thing? Would you get married in the Chapel of Solitude? Tell me all about it in the comments down below. And subscribe if you haven't already, because I'll be back with issue number 12 before you know it. Until then, thank you for taking the time to watch. My name is Dan. We'll talk again soon.